I'd like to begin tonight by acknowledging that we are on Treaty 1, 2, 4, and 5 territories, and the land on which we gather is the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, Assiniboine, Ojibwe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. Let's take a moment of silence, please, to recognize all the residential school survivors, those that never made it home. Thank you so much. Before we move on to our main event tonight, I just wanted to give you a real quick background on what we're doing. At our last convention, delegates decided it was time to take mental health at work. Since then, a working group of MGEU members and staff have partnered with the Canadian Mental Health Association and created Healthy Minds at Work. And I'd like to thank each and every one of them for sharing their expertise and efforts on this important campaign. Our working group is here live with me tonight. Give everyone a wave, all. Thank you. Thanks to them, we are hosting this event. And it's a great idea, folks. Just a few quick housekeeping items before we get started. On most devices, you can change the view of your screen, and if you haven't already, you'll probably want to switch it to presentation mode so the speaker will be the largest picture on your screen. Your camera and mics have all been defaulted to off, and you will not be able to turn them on. If you have questions, type them in the chat feature or in the Q&A. For most of you, this feature will be found at the bottom right of your screen. We'll be recording the presentation so other members who couldn't be here tonight can hopefully watch later. After the presentation, we'll stop recording, unmute your mics, and open things up for a chance to talk with our guest, the one and only Big Daddy Tazz. If you have any difficulties with the technical side of things, Jill Stockwell, give us a wave, Jill. There she is here to help. She'll also be sharing some interesting links in the chat for you throughout the presentation, so keep an eye out for those. At points, Jill's camera may be turned off as she is helping people out tonight. And finally, if you find yourself in crisis during this presentation, please call Clinic Crisis Line at 1-888-322-3019 or 204-786-8686 or 911. For other resources, you can call 211 or visit 211.ca during regular business hours. The Canadian Mental Health Association Service Navigation Hub, its number is 204-775-6442, is also a great resource. Without further ado, let's get on with what we're all here for tonight. After 30 years of denying he had a mental illness, Big Daddy Tazz decided that being a bipolar, socially anxious, obsessive, compulsive, dyslexic could either ruin or enhance his life. His choice to embrace his mental illnesses has led him to such TV appearances such as Just for Laughs, Comedy Now, and the CBC Winnipeg Comedy Festival. But according to him, none of this means anything unless he's funny today. Tazz once shattered the world record for the longest continuous stand-up comedy routine at 8.5 hours. My son-in-law tells me he's the funniest guy ever, so let's find out just how funny. No pressure, Tazz, but I was at a convention where you were the guest speaker, and I can tell you, I have been waiting for this evening for a long time. Thank you very much. Please, folks, a big welcome for Big Daddy Tazz.
Oh, thank you very much. My goodness, that's good. There's no pressure now, right? He's the funniest guy. I've seen him before. He's going to be a great speaker. He's having an anxiety attack right now. This is awesome. This is perfect. This is a little a little bit daunting to have. I know there's I feel like one of those announcers for the hundreds and hundreds of watching and the 9 people I can see. Right. This is great, and I love the MGEU today. For those of you that don't know, I did a show for the MGEU. I don't know who you guys were. Like I know I could see you, but I don't know. I mean
the staff.
Pardon me, the
It
staff.
was all the staff,
The
Tazz.
staff.
Yeah.
And they said to me, "Oh, just use the acronym MGEU instead." So that's perfect. And I said, "Is that because anybody's short-sighted?" That's my joke. You can't. I'm not part of your union. You can't get rid of me. This is perfect. So I'm gonna start out with a shout out to Jill and John who reached out to me many times. Actually, we were gonna do this last year, and then we had a little kerfuffle in the middle called COVID. And COVID, like that's just I don't know if anybody is a kerfuffle is a good word because it sounds like something worse than it actually is, but it's just and COVID was hard on a lot of people. It was very hard for entertainers. One day I'm on top of the world getting ready to actually look at having my own TV special again and then things like that. And then within a couple of weeks, I lose a year's worth of work. So it was great. So I started something called Frequently Asked Questions COVID because people were always asking, hey, during COVID, how do you handle your mental health? During COVID, what did you do? Did you and they're all like, oh, what did you do in COVID? Did you do anything with COVID? You should have done lots with COVID. You had lots of time. Did you lose weight with COVID? What did you do? I'm up to 300 sit-ups a day. And I'm like, you know what? I get out of bed. That's what I do. I got to one sit up out of bed. Sometimes I go, oh, maybe I'll do 2. No, just 1. And then I fall asleep. It's not a big deal, right? They said, oh, it looks like you gained weight through COVID. No, I just was the same. You just don't remember what I look like. And the only thing I did is I grew this beard. That's what I grew this beard. That was my project. That was my they're like, oh, good job growing a beard. No, it's because I just didn't do anything. That's what I grew. A beard is the only thing where they can go, you know what? That good job growing. That's because I didn't feel like shaving because I was depressed. I shouldn't have anything sharp in my hands. That's what it's great. Go, oh, it looks good on you. You look wise. They go, no, I look like if Fred Penner collected money for the Irish mob. That's what I look like right now. Don't make that come back the very next day. And it's it. And it's just you and your family. You got to spend so much. I was so happy spending time with my family. No, you're delusional. That's the problem. You're delusional. You need to check for gas leaks in your house because nobody wants to spend that amount of money. I love my family. I love my family. I love my wife and I love my boys. I have 2 boys, by the way. I have a 13-year-old and a 26-year-old because I'm really good at relationships, right? But I love them. I do. I love them so much, but I don't like them as much as I thought I did. Like I really don't. It's just there's so many. No, we're all like that's a lot of time to be spending. Do you know why our relationship worked before? Because I was on the road. That's when it worked before. Because every couple of days I'm on a plane. I'm either on WestJet or Air Canada or angry at Air Canada or angry at Air Canada or angry at Air. I mean, I had more things to take my anger on. It was and then they announced, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to open up restaurants here in Winnipeg. What? We're going to open up restaurants. And then they're like, and you can have up to 6 people. 6 people. It's going to be awesome. All from the same household. No, this is ridiculous. This is a cruel joke to play. We don't want, no. If I want to go to a restaurant with 6 people, it's not going to be my family because I can see them there. You chew too loud and stop going, because I didn't notice that before I was here. Oh my gosh, if I was going to go to a restaurant, yes, I'd like 6 different tables, please. There's only 3 of you. I don't care. Just get us a couple of tables. I need it so, and that's me loving my family. They're like, oh, did you get together? These people, right? There's people like, oh, what we did is we had a lot of time, and I taught my kids Swahili, and then we learned how to make Oreo cookies out of live penguin. Like they just made. I don't know. What did you do? Oh, you know what I found out? That if you run out of raisins, you can use glue. What are you talking? Like just all these DIY. Oh, I made sourdough bread. Well, yes, I made bread too, and now it's sourdough because I'm grumpy. I mean, that's the way it is. I did lots of stuff. Yes. Yeah. Oh, why did you gain weight? Because you told me to start baking. That's it. Because I couldn't take my baking to other people. That's the problem. You see, before I had to go out and get baking. I'm like, I don't need any baking, so I guess I don't want to get in the car. But now they're like, you can make it yourself at home with ingredients you have. No, you can't make stuff out of Doritos and root beer. And I tried. And it's the second worst soup I've ever had in my entire life. It's ridiculous. Oh my God. So what projects did you do? Okay, after around 10 months of being together, right? My wife and I got together and we put a lock on the knife drawer. That's what we did. We went and we stood in line at Lowe's for about an hour, and then we came home and we put a lock on the knife drawer, and we threw the key away. That's what we did. And then I started a new hobby, which was collecting comic books. I love comic books. That's how I've been making my living, buying and selling comic books. It's a very childish thing, but it brings me great joy. And my wife took up lock picking. But anyway, it's a different thing. And it's just, and I love the fact that people are happy. But you know how hard it is to pretend you're happy when all you want to do is curl up in the fetal position and pretend the world wants to go away for you a little bit. It's hard. Oh my God. And I miss being on stage. I didn't have a sense of purpose. I don't know if I told Jill and John this, but can we send somebody in IT over to John's place to press the right button? That's all I'm asking. And you know, the best part is I can say whatever I want, and he can't reply because he doesn't know how to turn on his mic. But I love you, Donnie, as far as you know. But so when I was at the end of my rope, and I mean that in the most literal, just like I have no sense of purpose. I don't know what's going on because I miss being on stage. I miss it. Like, oh, it must be nice to be doing the Zoom shows. Yeah, it's great. I don't mind it. I don't mind doing this because I can see it. But I miss seeing thousands of people and hundreds of people, or 11. Right? Seeing that, I miss feeling the laughter, right? And I miss people, people heckling me. I miss all of that, and I miss. And by the way, I'm going to tell you right now, I am sorry that I bitched about delayed flights and all of that. And I'm not gonna, when I get back to getting to work, I'm not gonna bitch about that again until it happens to me, and then I'm gonna write a 10-minute Facebook post about it, because that's what we do. But and just to let you know, I was a little late. Jill knows this. I was late getting onto the feed tonight because here's what happened. Air Canada, who, by the way, if Air Canada and WestJet would please give me the money that I have prepaid for flights for the last 2 years, I had 2 years of flights booked, right? And if they could just give me that money, I wouldn't need to be broke. That's like, I would not need my because of the way life has been lately, I've been having to put a lot on my credit cards, but my credit card would be paid off if they would give me back the money that I booked flights for myself and other. And so when somebody said, "Hey, look at this! Air Canada's doing a thing where you can get your money back." So I tried to get it on my phone, and it didn't work on my phone. So I went on the computer, and I'm halfway through getting things done, and it froze. It froze my computer. It froze my computer, and then I had to shut it down, and then I was late signing into this thing. So even though I'm not flying them, they found a way to delay me getting to the show. Isn't that awesome? That's it's just. That's all I'm saying. It's just, and by the way, if we start flying again, just count that many seats and sell that many tickets. That's all I want you to do. She goes, "Oh, we're gonna have to." I remember going up there one time, and the lady goes, "We're full." So we're full. Full? What do you mean full? Full. We're full. She goes, "What does full mean to you?" Well, I eat a lot of food. At Christmas time, I eat so many pierogies that my belly button goes like a turkey thing and says, "It's done," right? It's full. And I get full. And I can't eat anymore because I'm full. And then I walk out into the living room and I go, "Chips," right? And I can fit a couple more in. Can you fit a couple more in? That's what that's what I want you to do. Just fit a couple more. She goes, "No." I said, "Why don't you just count all did somebody just count we're 2 seats we're 2 seats over. That's what it is, 2 seats over." I'm like, "What? We're over 2 seats." I go, Did somebody just count all in the plane? They're like, "Okay, so how many seats do we have? Okay, sell all that." And then you're like, "Oh yeah, right?" Pilot, co-pilot, we can't sell those seats, right? Well, that's what just. She goes, and then she says to me, "What am I supposed to do?" Doesn't let you sit in the bathroom? Yes, yes. I'll sit in the bathroom. First of all, there'll be way more leg room. It's sure there's no TV, but there's a mirror, and I think I'm funny, so we're good to go. Okay? That'll be fine. Can't believe I took my hat off to smack myself in the head. That was ridiculous. But I miss entertaining adults. But you know what? I do a lot of work with kids. Really, I do a lot of work in the schools and going in and talking about anti-bullying. I used to say about bullying, and then I realized that doesn't sound right. I'm just, hey, do you know how to be a bully? No, come over here. I'll show you a couple. But, I do a lot of work with, I call it student self-love, right? And that sort of stuff about how you should use the right words when you're talking to yourself. Because I'll tell you, I have said some of the meanest things to myself that I would never say to anybody else, right? Unless I stub my toe, then I direct that anger to where it belongs, the couch. But I miss talking to kids. And like I said, my boys are my life, and my oldest boy has ADD, attention deficit disorder. I can't just say ADD, because during a TV taping a number of years ago, a lady yelled out, "That's an alarm system." What? ADD is an alarm system. I said, no, that's ADT. She goes, "What's the difference?" Huge. You don't want attention deficit disorder alarms. Let me tell you that straight out, right? There's something in my house and he's got a knife. I got a blue bike. I got a blue bike and my dog's name is Kevin. Bye. I don't know what's going on. And I had to have a meeting with my son's teacher because he's got AD. And I'll tell you what, there are some teachers. I know I had teachers in my life that helped me become who I was, even by gentle prodding or not letting me. I mean, if it wasn't for a couple of my teachers and my son say, I'd either be dead or in jail right now. I was on my own at 15, and I just, it's just the way it was. I wasn't making good choices. Now my son has good teachers too. I mean, we've all had good teachers. Good teachers. Anybody have good teachers? Yeah. Mentors of some sort. Oh, yeah, for sure. There are those people that you know what the most important thing is teaching a child. You don't have to mold and shape and mold a young mind. They don't need to do that. What they need to do is that you need to let that mind unfold and teach them where to. Oh, yes, your minds are gammy. You can be changed into anything you want, right? And teach them that they don't need to fit in. That's when problems happen. You don't need to fit in, right? I don't care if you're the tallest, the heaviest, the smartest, the this or the that and the that and the blue. It doesn't matter, right? You're you, and that's important. And it's so, and we were so tied up to like in our adult life. It's what we learn when we're kids, right? And there are good teachers that do that, and they're also just wrinkled up bags of farts and anger that are so mean they can't get a job at Air Canada. We'll let them loose on our kids a little bit. Being a teacher because the job of the devil's already been taken. You know what I'm saying right there, right? I'm just saying, the doctor using a Ouija board. Like I'm just talking right now in the summertime, living under a bridge, eating goats. So I mean, that's and mean. Oh my gosh, I've met some, and my son's teeth. So you decide, okay? So we go to meet the teacher, and my son, who's got a good sense of humor, because tree, apple, right? And which is also the reason that he has attention deficit disorder. My gosh, the teacher goes, I hear you suffer from attention deficit disorder. It doesn't say hi, doesn't say anything. That's the greeting. I hear you suffer from attention deficit disorder, right? And then I was waiting for a head to spin around and stuff, but and my son, with a good sense of humor, goes, "Me suffer? No." You might suffer a little bit, and for that, I'm incredibly sorry. So I just need you to tell me when I'm overstepping and where the line is, and I'll learn where the line is. And my dad sometimes, if he just touches his nose, and I'm thinking, okay, I have to, like, that's our visual cue. He touches his nose, and that just means I'm going a little too far. I have to calm down, right? And then I do the same when he does it, and we help each other out. And the teacher goes, "That's not really my job." I'm thinking, it kind of is, right? So from then on, she did not like my son. It's got nothing to do, and we had to have a meeting with my son's teacher about 3 weeks in, which, by the way, was way longer than I thought it was going to last before I had the first meeting. I thought I was going to get in the car and there was going to be a call on my phone. Can you come back upstairs, right? And because I didn't do well in school, I had a learning disability. I couldn't hear my teacher, from my bed. And oh yeah, I did not. I was not very. If my parents had one more meeting about me, they would have had a better attendance record than I did. Like, I'm not even joking. And I had some great teachers too. I had some wonderful teachers, but my son. I'm going to just write down the word because what happens is I will get distracted by my own self. So what? My son's teacher, we're having the meeting, and I walk in, and right away she's right at me. She's like, "Hey, do you know what? Your son has attention deficit disorder. You know, at one point in time, I swear, Charlie Brown and things." And I wasn't trying to be distracted, but then she said something about hereditary. I don't know. I wasn't listening. Like, I wanted to listen, but the blind was open, right? I talked openly about having attention deficit disorder, ADD, ADHD. You had whatever letters you want, AEIEIO. It doesn't matter. I cannot pay attention. Now, you know that because you had said to me when you talked to your class, and you left the blind open. Now, whose fault really is that? Now, I tried not to look out the blind, but it's right there, and it's a sunny day, and I'm looking out now, and I've learned to say stuff in my head, right? I've learned to say the stuff in my head that I shouldn't say out loud. And the reason is because sometimes I used to get pulled over by the police for speeding because I used to speed. That's why they would pull me over for speeding, right? And I would say stuff like, "Do you know how fast you're going?" And I would say stuff like, "Yes, but I have a speedometer. But if you can't remember from your car to here, I'm not going to tell you," right? I mean, I would say things like, I would say, "Do you know how do you know how fast you're going?" And I said, "Yes. How about slightly slower than you? You caught me, right?" I would say these things thinking it was funny, and then I would look and realize it's only funny to me. That's the thing. I can't remember the one time the officer pulled me over and says to me, "Do you know how fast you're going?" I said, "I 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106. Where are we going with this? Higher, lower, higher, lower. Where are we going?" "Okay, your turn to guess. What color underwear am I wearing?" No. I did. Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. I told that joke for the graduating class of the RCMP in Regina, Saskatchewan a couple decades ago. And one guy in full red serge stands up and goes, "We're cops. We don't wear underwear." And before I remember to use my inside my head voice, I had already said, "I guess if you don't got a big dog, you don't need to build a fence, hey, buddy?" No, it was a problem, right? It was a problem because I'm just saying. So I don't speed while I'm going through Regina, Saskatchewan anymore because, just whatever. Now I do it. I'm silly so that the officer has a chance to go and lie. I said, "I know you're going to give me a ticket, but And so I've learned to say stuff in my head. So when I looked out the window, I was looking out going, "That's a nice day there." For those of you trying to keep up, we're back in the classroom now. So look, I'm looking out the window, and it's a beautiful, it's a nice day. I wish it was outside. I don't want to be inside here. It's just the fluorescent lighting. It's just like almost already getting a headache and stuff, and I'd rather be outside. Why is there a tractor? How come there's a tractor? Maybe a tractor. It's not farm school. It's a regular school. Why is there's a squirrel outside? And the squirrel looks like he's trying to drive the tractor because he's got his hands on the steering wheel. He can't drive a tractor because even if it was outside, right? He'd be outside in the city. You can't drive a tractor. He'd have to have an orange vest with a little yellow X on it like that, and he'd have to have a white hard hat. And if he had a white hard hat, he wouldn't be driving the tractor. He'd be asleep in the truck because he's a foreman. But and then I turn, and she's staring at me, right? Not the squirrel. The teacher is staring at me, and I know that look. I know the look means. That look means I now know why your children are the way they are. That's the way it is. And I realized I was saying all that crap out loud, right? And then so I'm just saying. But, I had some great teachers. I wanted to be a kindergarten teacher. I've always wanted to be an actor, a comedian, and a kindergarten teacher because I wanted to be able to take and make a difference in children's life. But being on your own at 15 with no, having to work a couple of jobs and then go to school to pay your own way, there was no way I could afford to go to university, right? And I did go to university for 2 checks, student loan checks. It wasn't me. What do you mean it wasn't me? This isn't my house. Get out of here. But, me. I just inhaled some cat fur. I don't know if cats know that I'm on. Here's what I've learned, by the way. Here's what I've learned. This is my office. There's a couple of things that I've learned. This background, by the way, it's not a fake background. It's real. This is my setup for my Tazzy Reach program. If you've got kids, or if you just want to pop in, I'm reading Zeus all this next month. But I read to kids every night at 7:30 on Taz Norris on Facebook, and I love it. I've read just about 900 books. Did I hit 900? I can't remember. The list is here somewhere. And I've been doing that since March 18th of 2020 because I needed something to give me an outlet, right? And that's what it was. And so the cat. Oh, that's what I was talking about. See, this fur went by. The universe is like, can you stay on track, please? Here's some cat fur. So the cats, the cats, I don't let them in here because there's a couple reasons. One, they shed on demand. I don't care what anybody says. They shed on demand. Oh, the cats are they're not awesome. Cats are just. I know. Oh, my wife's like they show affection. They're like always rubbing on you. They're itchy. That's why they're itchy. They're not. You know, a cat could care less. They're just going, yeah. Fine, right? Dog, you can, you just the dogs are like, oh, we love you, right? And my wife said, oh no, cats show affection. Miss Christie's my wife, and she's real. The whole thing, she said, if human beings showed affection as much as cats did in the exact way cats did, the world would be a better place. So today, when she went downstairs to get the laundry, I sat on the top step and went like this, like that, to get her word, like that, trying to get her foot. Because I go down the stairs, and every time I go down the stairs, the cats are on like the first and the third step, right? And every time I go, "What are you doing?" They look at me like, "Not trying to kill you." Like that's it. And they'll shed. And here's what I learned too, by the way: they don't know the difference between shorts and they oh yeah, they don't know. My cat, whose claws are sharper than Wolverine's, I mean, I think it cut diamond with these things. Doesn't realize I'm not wearing flesh-colored pants because he tried to jump up on my lap. And I mean, I love I love that vibration and stuff. That's great, and it makes it, because even if you're depressed, nothing will make you feel more happy than a cold, wet nose, right? Like on your neck of an animal, not just some freaky guy. Hey, what's going on? And, they tried to jump up on my lap when I was doing a school presentation to kindergarten kids, and they almost heard. Yeah, stuff they shouldn't hear because now I wear 2 pairs of jeans and 3 socks. That's all I'm saying. That's all. It's just oh yeah, cutting things there. Oh yeah, that's crazy stuff. But then the cat too. What's with the cat? I don't understand. The first time I heard that, I thought, is there a goose in the house? What's going on? Is there a goose in the house? And I walked out. I'm like, what are you doing? And the cat makes eye contact with me. And I'm like, stop it. And he stopped. And I thought, I'm the cat whisperer. And that turns out, no, the cat's like, you're right. This is a waste of time. This is the hardwood. I got to get to the carpet. This is where the carpet. Where's you? Right? And I have no idea why I was talking about cats. But anyway, back to having attention deficit disorder. No, I've had some lovely teachers. I had a couple of really great teachers, right? Mr. Haight, who, by the way, had the worst name ever because nobody hated the guy. One day he pulled me aside and he said, Taz, well, he didn't call me Taz back then. It was Bear or Tim. Tim, we need I need to call your parents because you're not attending as much school as you said. I said, well, you can call me if you want, but I've been on my own for a year and a little bit. He goes, what? I said, yeah, I'm living where are you living? I said, I can't tell you because you'll make me go back home. So just like that. So if you want, right? And he goes, oh, and it was grade 12 towards the end. And he goes, let me think about things. I'm like, oh, great, right? Because I was always getting in trouble, mostly because I just couldn't control my urges. I remember, oh my gosh. I remember, I remember Miss Gradish was one of my teachers. And she goes, this is a phenomenon. I went, phenomenon. And she went, phenomenon. I went, do, 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 do. Phenomenon, do, 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 do. Phenomenon, do, 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 do. And down to the office I went, right? And when you have I don't know what the politically correct term is anymore, invisible disability, invisible mind, I have things that other people don't, or I thought, right? Like I said, like it was great too. And Michelle, thank you for getting it right. Like the other day, somebody introduced me as, instead of socially anxious, they said socially obnoxious, and I was like, yeah, pretty much, right? I can be. especially if you're a politician that doesn't want to listen to what I'm saying, right? I will call it. I have no problems doing that. But I have ADD, which I'm just demonstrating by accident now. Like there should be, if you open up attention deficit disorder in the dictionary, there should be a picture of myself and my boys. But I was supposed to send it in, but distracted. I have OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder, right? And that OCD, and here's a little thing for people that don't know: the Obsessive Compulsive Disorders Association of Manitoba isn't open regular hours. Okay? Let's just let that sink in a little bit, right? No, flippity, flippity, flip, right? Are you sure that you're not? Are you sure you're not the procrastinator society, right?
Yeah.
And here's something I found out too: they have the Compulsive Liars Association. Really? How do you have meetings? I wouldn't trust anything anybody said. Where's the meeting? It's at 17 billion Portage Mary St. Avenue Street. At what time? 9:65 and a quarter to the power of 3. I'd love to go up there. I would go up there because I would lie all the time because I didn't want people to know I was hurting or suicidal and things like that. I would just love to go up and have that. Hello, my name is Mrs. Yaka Murray, and I'm a liar. Just be nice, just have fun with it, right? Just embrace who you are, right? And you think, by the way, you think OCD and ADHD would cancel each other out, but no, it's just a mismatch of stuff. Like I'll get completely focused on something and tell, oh, that's cool, right? And I had to, oh yeah, and my psychiatrist too, who's also real, right? He said, well, we should have a meeting with some of you and some of your friends. They go, most of them are imaginary, like, right? I just saying, but he said we because we should, you have to stop focusing on the negative, because I shut down during COVID. We ended up losing, full disclosure, we ended up losing our house, so here's what happened. I was doing very well, and I thought, I'm going to help my family out by starting these 2 businesses that hinge on the car industry and the, stuff coming from the States. And here we go. And and we were going to launch at World of Wheels here in Winnipeg in April. And I was excited. Oh my gosh. Because I love cars. I love cars, comic books, comics, and making people laugh, and kids. That's a lot of C's there. There's no, making people laugh. It's not a C. Comedy, cars, comedy, comics, charities, and carrot cake. Chuckles. There you go.
Chuckles.
Chuckles. There you go. Oh, I started writing carrot cake. I guess I'm hungry. But anyway, so that's by the way, if you have carrot cake, I write that as a vegetable right there, just like that, and then dill pickle. So we're good. But dill pickle chips, because you can have a whole bag of those and nobody says anything if they don't hear you. But by the way, when you're on a court ordered diet, do they do that? When you're on a diet, and man, you think that car alarms are loud, but if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you want chips and you open up the bag, well, even raccoons are like, "Hey, buddy, knock it off!" Right? So, anyways, oh yeah, so I was investing in these companies, and we created these companies, and then March 18th. I found out everything was shutting down. Oh, March, and then by the end of March, lost 2 years worth of work. Done. We were done. And I'm like, oh, and then I started getting the phone calls. I'm gonna have to cancel the order. I'm gonna have to cancel the order. I'm gonna have to cancel. And we went broke. Done. That's all it is. And I was terrified to what was, and we lost. We didn't lose our house. I mean, where did we put? Is it? I don't remember. It was here when we left, right? But we ended up, and it's first world problems. I'm in a lovely place now, and mostly mentally as well. But I decided I need to talk to my psychiatrist, because one of the things about me is that in my industry and many other industries, I'm the go-to cat that people call with their problems, and I don't mind that at all, because it makes me feel useful. But it was so hard at the beginning, getting calls from and world famous people saying, "Listen, I don't know how to handle this. I don't," and helping people help me. But there were days where I would get off the phone and I just curl up and cry, right? And that was it. And I'm not embarrassed to say that. I used to be incredibly embarrassed because people would judge me, but I realized that when people are judging me, it's not a flaw in my character, it's a flaw in yours, really, to be honest with you. So I remember, I remember some of the most important things that I've learned it was from kids, right? And so I decided I'm going to start reading to kids. I need that purpose, and that's what's going on. Because I was literally just crying on the couch, and I thought I was home alone. I thought my sons and my wife were at the took a load over in my truck to this house here, and I just laid on the couch and I cried, and I just didn't want them to see me crying, not because I was embarrassed, but I didn't want to put any more any more vegetables on their plate, right? I wanted them to have cake, right? And so, and yes, I know vegetables are delicious, blah, 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 blah. But they're not, right? If you've got cake and vegetables, there's not a human being on the planet that'll be like, no, I don't want the cake. They're gonna be, I won't eat the cake. They'll be like, I don't need the cake. But they're not, even part of them are like, that's just okay. So I'm generalizing, but I'm right. But so I'm crying on the couch, and all of a sudden there's an arm around me, and it's Wee Beast, my youngest, right? And he said, Dad, what's wrong? And he said, be honest, because we're honest in this family, right? Except for the part where I say, I love spending time with you for the last 9 months. And yeah, my son goes, it's actually been almost 16. No, I just blocked out the last little bit. But and he said, what's wrong? And I told him, I said, I feel like after 30 years of work and I failed the family, we have to move. I know you don't want to move. We got to sell. I collected stuff, and we had to sell everything and things I got. And he looked at me right in the eyes and he said, Dad, you realize this is happening to you, but not because of you, right? And I'm like, that's just,
Wow.
and that's how I knew I was on the right track. I needed a sign from the universe that I was on the right track. I needed a sign, whether I created it myself or whatever. And there was a day not too long ago where I was wondering if things were going to happen, if I was going to get out of this funk, and I asked the universe for a sign. And that day I got an email from Jill saying, hey, we want to, John, and just saying, hey, we want to talk to you about some stuff. And I'm like, oh, and then I saw government. I'm like, what do I owe? Right. Well, it's just the, well, that's why brown envelopes come from the government, because, right. But, pardon me. So there's probably a whole thing to this whole story. Oh, teachers. So, okay. So I had, by the way, this is why CBC hates having me on the shows, because there's no edit points, right? There's like, we don't know where to cut, right? So it was, oh yeah, I got a great compliment from CBC one time and say, Taz opens his mouth, and then when he's done, he's done. There's no breaths in between, and there's no, and they said it's like a kindergarten kid telling a story, no punctuation and very little at the end. But that's the last time I write my own intro. But the teacher, some of the teachers that I had were fantastic. Like, I got a chance to do the 96th birthday of one of my teachers. I got a phone call from a lady saying, hey, you don't know who I am? I'm like, no, I don't know you. And she said, well, I'm Mrs. Marcotte's granddaughter, and she is turning 96. And she would love for you to come and perform at her party. I said, well, I don't live in Saskatoon anymore, but listen, I'll find a way to, and the universe provided right there. I got a gig the next day, very close. And so I got to do it, and it was fantastic. And I was surprised she was 96, because, to be honest with you, I thought she was older than that when she was teaching me, right? Like I did. And it turns out she's probably in she was probably in her like 40s at the time. We don't know. Right, and she's this tall, right? And and French. Oh my gosh, and French. She's so. I mean, she tried to teach me French, right? I don't know French. Weeby speaks complete French. He goes to Les Arts, right? And I said that wrong, but it does. I'm a Anglophone. And there's probably lots of people anybody that's watching right now speak French. Anybody in this little group speak French? Okay, un petit peu. Okay, but I know just enough French, by the way, to make the people at the airport think I know more French. Oh yeah, and I love that. Bonjour, hello, bonjour, and I'm like, oh, bonjour, c'est that. And then one time they went, oh, c'est that. I'm like, that's all I know. That's all I know. Dans la bibliothèque avec le pamplemousse, right? I mean, that's all I know. Dans l'autobus avec, and then I can say seal in French, and I didn't even know it was seal. For those of you who didn't get that, Google seal in French. So anyway, they the Miss Marcotte was, and oh, by the way, I don't know French very well. Like I said before, I have no idea. This is how bad I am at French. I thought my son's nickname when he was growing up, when he was very young and started to walk, was touche pas. I thought Kyler in French is touche pas. And for those of you who don't know, touche pas means don't touch, right? I didn't know that. I didn't know. I know touche pas. I know Donald Babeka Papa, give Daddy a nice kiss. And I know Je t'aime mon petit chou, which means I love you, my little shoe. And for the longest time, I thought it meant I love you, my little shoe, my little soulmate, my little, one of us has got the tongue out, the other one's laced, right? I thought my matching pair, it doesn't mean shoe. And I went to Quebec. Oh, and the Quebecois are so friendly when they want to correct me. So friendly. I remember this elderly lady. I said, "Mon petit chou" means shoe, and she looked me right in the eyes and goes, "Excuse me, idiot! No, ne pas de shoe. Stupid! It's not shoe at all, right?" And I go, "What is it?" She goes, "That doesn't make any sense. Shoe does not make any sense. Why would it be shoe?" I said, "I tried to explain to her." She goes, "No, it makes no sense. Why do you think it's shoe? That makes no sense, right?" I said, "Okay, what does it mean? Does anybody know what shoe means?" It means cabbage. My little cabbage. I love you, my little, because that makes more sense, doesn't it? I love you, my little green fart vegetable. That means I love you, my little griefy, lean bringer of stink. Like I love you, my little, the only reason, and why cabbage? Cabbage is not even popular. Cabbage was invented because kale had depression. That's why it was invented. Kale didn't want to be the grossest thing anymore. And if cabbage was, here's the deal. And then if you, has anybody gone home and go, "I'm going to have a BLT"? Oh, cabbage. Guess what? We're not, that's what it is. It sits in the drawer until it becomes soft. If cabbage was delicious, they wouldn't need to stuff it with rice and meat and cover it in tomato juice. Not tomato sauce either. My grandmother would be like, "Oh, no sauce. That's the wrecking it, right?" And oh, you got to make coleslaw out of it. No, the only reason I eat cabbages is how angry my wife and I are at each other the night before. That's all I'm saying right there. Oh, I'm just telling you right now. Oh no, lots of people love cabbage. They don't love cabbage because they've had another thing out there. No. Oh, cabbage soup is good for you. No, it's not. It'll help you lose weight. Yes, it helps you lose weight because if it's the only thing in the fridge, you're like, "I'm not hungry." That's what it is. If you shouldn't be able to eat anything that changes the ambient temperature of the room 12 hours later by you just coughing and holding it in. I'm just saying right now, that's the way it is. If cabbage was popular, people would shoplift it. Nobody ever walked through, in the store and go, "Oh, let me try. Is this cabbage good?" Take a bite out of it. They don't do like they do with grapes and stuff and bags of chips. You're not supposed to do a bag of chips. I found that out. But that's what I'm saying. Anyways, I digress. Anyways, I got to look that word up later. But I do like broccoli, which are just fart trees. But anyway, it's a lot of jokes. But anyways, so I'm on stage with Miss Marcotte, right? And she brings me up and she goes, "This is Tazz. I have watched his career for many years now, and he was one of my favorite students ever." And then she hands me the microphone, and I said, "You should have told your face, because you look mad at me every year. Every time I was in your class." She takes the microphone back and she says, "Well, that's because I couldn't let you know I was enjoying, because everybody would have tried to do it." And he goes, and she says, "And this is Tazz too, who was now in my typing class." And I get her to try to type, and he would say, "When am I going to ever need typing again in my entire life?" Well, who needs typing now with the invention of the? And I said, "This is Miss Marcotte. Miss Marcotte told me I would never get anywhere typing with 2 fingers." And I said, "I've done scripts like this, just to let you know." So, and the teachers are the reason that I wanted to go be a teacher, and I couldn't be a teacher. I couldn't be a teacher. Mr. Kirkland was a Jamaican fella who was an English teacher. Now, I know, seriously, thick Jamaican accent, and he was my English teacher. Like, oh my gosh, he would say, we would have spelling tests, and he would say something like, he would say the word, and then we would have to try to translate it ourselves. Like one time he said, "Spell Liscaris." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, spell licorice. And I go, can you use that in a sentence? He said, the red licorice tastes like strawberry. I'm like, oh, licorice. Okay, licorice then. You need to know that. Everybody went, oh, licorice. Okay. And then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, how do you spell licorice? And I went, oh, licorice. That's you spell like licorice. And one time he said we had to write a poem. And I said, what am I supposed to write a poem on? He says, I don't care. Write it on underwear. I don't care. So I went home and I went through my dad's drawer and it was like gray, 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 white. And I took the cleanest pair and I took a marker and I wrote a poem on that underwear and I handed it in. I got a 2-day suspension. It was worth the laugh. Now, fast forward many years later, when I find out that Mr. Kirkland has passed, and I talked to his son, and he said, I said, oh, I quite liked your father. He was very strict, but very, had a really good sense of humor. And he said, yeah. And I said, and I one time wrote a poem on underwear, and he goes, you're the guy. I said, yeah. I said, did he mention it? He goes, mention it in his office. Framed in a frame is a pair of underwear.
Oh.
So you never know. You never know the impact that you're going to have on people, right? I mean, even unless you run into them. Oh, sorry, right? And that's why I go and I talk to schools, right? I go and I talk to schools because I didn't do well in school because I was mentally scared of everything that I was doing. And I go and I talk to kids, and I had a little kid talk to me. One time she looks at me and she goes, I'm a vampire. I said, oh, okay, cool. She goes, now I'm a vampire. And the little girl's like, I'm a vampire. And this little boy comes walking up and puts his hands on either side of my ears and goes, Mr. Tazz, she's not really a vampire, so don't be scared, okay? When she's had lots of sadness in her life, so she pretends she's a vampire. Can you please pretend she's a vampire? I said, of course I can. I said, but I'm scared. And he goes, why are you scared? I said, what if she bites me? And he looks at me and goes, you don't have to worry. You don't got a neck. Like, oh. I go into the schools, and I just realized I've been talking for 46 minutes, and I haven't even started my stuff yet. So I go into this one school, and I decide I'm going to talk to kids. And I said to my youngest one, wee beast, who was very young at the time, I said, how do I do that? I'm scared to talk to the kids but I want to talk about mental health. And I used to have to sneak into the schools, which sounds way creepier. You made it creepy, but hang on. I had to come and read a book, right? But then wheedle in mental health, right? Because it wasn't very popular when I was doing it, right? So my son says, where are your mucklucks, Dad? I go, what? He goes, where are your mucklucks? I said, why would I wear my mucklucks? He goes, because not a lot of people wear mucklucks. And they got fringes on them. And they go all the way to the top of your foot there, right? They go all the way to the top of your knee from your foot. And on your foot is a beaded work of an eagle. And then you can tell them that you got those as a gift for going up north to one of the res cities. And then they will tell you, why did you do that? You can say, because you're doing charity work, and they traced your foot, and they made those for you as a thank you from the group. I said, okay, so off I go wearing the mucklucks. It's February. It's I Love to Read month. I'm wearing the mucklucks. And then the teacher goes, who do you want to talk? Like the teacher meets me and the principal meet me at the door, and she goes, well, who do you want to talk to first? I said, let me talk to the kids that are the easiest kids to talk to. Let me talk about the kindergarten kids. Well, I'm a fool, right? Kindergarten kids. I'm sitting there, not one set of eyes is looking at me. I'm like I'm up there, like I'm welding or something, right? There's not one set of eyes like that. Didn't go well, right? I don't have time to get into the whole thing, but it didn't go well. And so I hated the presentation. I didn't get a chance to read the book or anything like that. The kids, right? It was just, I remember asking one kid, is there any questions? The little boy puts up his hand and goes, I have to pee. I'm like, okay, go ahead. And he did, right? That was the whole thing. He stood there and he just went, and I knew he was done too because he went. So yeah. So I come out and I'm kind of devastated in my head because I didn't do well. And the teacher said to me, who do you want to talk to next? I said, grade 12s. I want to talk to grade 12s. I want to talk to grade 12s. She goes, here's your next class. It was grade 1s. And I walk into that class and it's just wall to wall, everybody painting, doing little paintings and stuff, right? And doing this, right? Well, I guess you're painting with both hands. You're not amphibious. But anyway, so amphibious. Anyway, whatever. So they're painting and they're wearing smocks, right? They're wearing smocks. They got their shirts on, the dad's shirts on backwards and stuff. And the teacher, I think these people aren't going to want to listen to me, right? I'm already down, and the teacher does that, and the kids all answer back. And they sit down. They give me a grade 1 chair to sit on, which, by the way, I sat on the grade 1 chair, and then I was like uncomfortable, but I stood up, and we haven't been able to find the grade 1 chair. We don't know where it went. A couple of minutes ago, I felt it right here, though. That's the thing. But, so there I am now using 2 grade 1 chairs, one under each arch cheek, and we go. So I read the story. The kids laugh. And at the very end, a hand goes up, and I'm like, I don't want to answer any questions. So there's no questions. There's no question. No question. I don't see any questions. And this little girl had her hand up, and she looks at me and she goes, I am being very patient. I'm being very patient, right? I said, okay. You have a question. And she says, how do you become so very funny and good with kids? Well, that sat me down hard, right? Because you're always better. You're always better than you think of yourself. And I looked at her, but I didn't have an answer. I said, well, it's because I'm not very good at math. And she goes, that doesn't make any sense. I said, no, it's because I'm not very good at math. Some people are good at math, and some people are good at spelling, and some people are good at art, and some people are really good at music, and some people are good at sports. I'm just not, I'm good at being very silly. She goes, well, you're an adult, so you're good at everything. I'm like, no, teaching moment, teaching moment. And I just said, no, I'm not, just because I'm an adult, there's hundreds of thousands of things I'm not very good at. And this little boy in the front row, a little blonde-haired, blue-eyed, children of the corn-looking kid, right? Just fuzzy blonde hair, blue eyes, like maybe he was drawn by Disney and colored by Dr. Seuss, like these. You're a mean one, Mr. Prince. Cindy Lou Who blue eyes, right? And he looked at me, and he had his hands like this, and there was a hole in the blind, and sunlight was coming through. It lit up the back of his head, and he looked like one of the angels that used to be on this front of the Eaton's catalog, one of these little angels like that. And he looked at me, and his little Noma angel looking head looked at me with those big blue eyes, and in a beautiful sing-songy angel-like voice, he said, like running. You're probably not very good at running. I said, pardon me? You said you're not good at some things. I bet you number one thing you're not very good at and don't like to do is run. The teacher showed up like a ninja, right? I didn't know she was there. I thought she was out having a bath. But I thought, that's the way that was. So she says, I'll have a talk with him. I said, no, you don't need to have a talk with him. He wasn't being mean. He wasn't being rude. He wasn't being facetious, if I knew what that meant. But he looked at me and saw a big cat, right? And thought, oh, he's not going to run, because I'm strong. I can lift your house, but I'm not going to run to it. Here's the deal. If the bus is 3 seconds early, I don't go to work that day. That's how it works. If I'm walking through the woods and I hear, and I turn around, there's a grizzly bear, I go, I guess we're doing this stuff. Let's go. Come on. Because I'm not going to run away, right? I'm not going to run away, because what's going to happen? The bear's going to go, whatever, buddy. Good shot. And I'll be the last thing I hear is a talking bear. So, and you know what? And I said, no, it's important. And she goes, well, my job is to make sure they don't speak out. I go, no, your job's not that. Your job is to teach kids to speak out strong for themselves, to let everybody know about their emotions, to let everybody know they're scared or they're happy or they're tense or whatever, right? Right? Because wouldn't it be a great day if you asked a child how they're doing and they didn't use a 4-letter F word, especially teenagers? Fine. See, fine, I don't like that word. Fine is a word that you say when you don't know if the people around you can be trusted with what you think are deep, dark secrets. Fine is a word that you say when you want somebody to ask the next question. Fine is something that you say when you really, really, really want them to delve into to help you, but you are testing the waters. And unfortunately, in this Facebook-driven, you hate me because I have a different opinion. I don't like Facebook. I don't like Facebook. That's just, I use it all the time, but I don't like it. Because it's all of a sudden, everybody is out to get everybody else, and everybody else is wrong, and you have to have the best opinion. What happened to be having oh, okay, I don't agree with you. We can still be friends. No, we got that flaming tire burning that zombie, right? Whatever else is happening in your world, but Oh, and because we live in that world, some people want to hear the word fine so they don't have to get involved. Wouldn't it be great if you asked a teenager how they're doing and they were like, ah, man, you know what? I'm really bad at math and I thought I was going to fail this test and I studied and I studied and I studied and I got 86. It's the highest grade I ever got. And I actually went home like a little kid and I put it up on the fridge and my mom and dad are so proud because it just clicked. 1 + 1 is 2 and 2 + 2 is 6. 2 and 2, 2 + 2 is 4. Don't take my advice for math. It's other stuff you take advice for, right? And then you ask the next person, how are you feeling? Oh, I wish my parents would get a divorce. I know I'm not supposed to say that, but you know what? They're arguing and they're arguing and they're arguing and they keep saying it's nothing to do with you. It's nothing to do. It's everything to do with me. I know it's not my fault. I know it's not my fault you're getting a divorce. So stop saying that. It's your fault. So you need to go get some counseling. You need to split up. You need to take time away from each other. That's what you need to do because this arguing is it's dropping my grades. I can't sleep because I know you're going to ask me who am I going to live with, and it's going to be grandma because I can't live with you because you'll be mad, and I can't live with you because you'll be mad. How are you feeling? She said she loved me. He said he loved me. He said he did, and then I'd never had anybody say that before, and so I didn't know what was going on. And he's so handsome, he's so popular, and then he said, you know what? If you really love me, you take off your top and send pictures. And I sent pictures of me naked, and then he showed him to everybody. I got to school and I showed him to everybody, and everybody was there looking at me, and I knew they all saw it. And he was so mean, but I don't know what to do. They call me a slut and a whore, and I'm not any of that, and I don't know. And now I'm walking through the mall. I think, oh, maybe they see me too, and then I know they haven't seen me, but it hurts so much. So now I just wear more layers, and I keep my hood up, and I used to participate in everything, and I just sit in the back of the class just wanting everything to go away until next year. How are you feeling? What do you care? What do you mean, how am I feeling? I've been asking for years for help, and nobody's paying attention. I don't know where to turn. I don't know who to turn to. I don't know any of that. And so, yeah, I guess what? I'm going home after school today because I've given away my cat and I've given away my fish and I've given away all my cool stuff, and I'm going to kill myself. And don't worry, Mom, I'm going to do it in the woods, not at home, because the last time I said I felt like killing myself, you're like, oh, just another mess for me to clean up. Well, guess what? Nobody cares about me. I don't know how to deal with this. That's it. I'm ending it. Isn't it a great day if you asked a child how they were feeling and they had no problems saying, I'm scared, I'm anxious, help me, please. And there's no shame. Wouldn't it be great if we learned that when we were kids and we were able to take that and turn it into something that we were able to talk about now? Wouldn't it be great if we didn't have to say fine when we weren't fine? If we could just ask for help, but we can't, because society has labeled people like myself and people in this room and in this group and in this world that are suffering with something nobody can see. It's a mental illness. Well, get over it. Have you tried getting over it? You know, I never thought about getting over it. Thanks, I feel much better. Listen, you ditzy goof. Yeah, I've been trying my entire life to get over it, to pull myself up by my bootstraps. I can't afford bootstraps, to be honest with you, because I'm not working. Right? You don't think I'm scared to talk about? I'm terrified to talk about this because I know there are people out there that are judging me. I have social anxiety, which means I'm terrified to be in front of people. But me being uncomfortable for a little while, if it helps people, good. So I'm uncomfortable. So there's a bead of sweat rolling down the crack of my arse right now. Big deal, right? Yes, I joke about it. How dare you joke about mental health? I don't joke about mental health. I joke about the dark places my mind goes so that I can come out and create the light for myself and others. That's why I joke about mental health. I have a letter here. I just had it because I was going to show it to you. It was a letter that a lady said to me. She said, Tazzy, you telling everybody how uncomfortable you are in your own skin makes it easier to live in mine, and I thank you and love you for that. I'm naked on stage emotionally. And I'm terrified every moment of me doing it. That's why I joke so much at the beginning and we're so serious at the end. You know, because you're going to be spending so much time. You'll be spending so much time with your coworkers once this is all over, right? But statistically, you spend more time with your coworkers than they do with your family. So you'll see when somebody's hurting. You'll see when a partner is hurting. You'll see when something, and it's your job as a friend to call them on it. Yeah, they might tell you to go mind your own business. Yeah, they might not be ready to open up. They might tell you to fly away. Right? But keep going ask them, keep asking, because you care. Let them know you care. Let them know you're willing to listen. In this world, so many people are not willing to listen anymore. They're so worried about waiting for their time to talk, then they forget how to listen. And it's hard to know who to trust. And I'm going to tell you this, and I wish I didn't know this. I wish I didn't know this. I wish I didn't know this again recently. That getting involved might make them mad at you, but it's way better to lose a friendship than a friend. I'd much rather them be mad at me for the next 45 years than me to have to read or write another eulogy. You see, my first suicide attempt was at age 8 because I thought I didn't have a good home life, and that's all I'll say about that, because judging is for God and little children. And my parents were great people. Don't get that wrong. They were amazingly great people. They just didn't know how to be a parent. And then my dad came up about it honestly, and that's another presentation that I give. I have one called Mental Health, MENTELL, Mental Health, and I do it so, and people and some ladies are like, well, how come that you're not talking about the female? I said, I don't know much about the female part of depression. I just know it probably feels like the male part, but men don't ask for help as much because we're born with a magic wand between our legs that makes us impervious to all kinds of emotions and the ability to reach out, because we have to be strong, because we've been taught our entire life, be a man up, grow a pair. Well, you know what? It doesn't mean we can't ask for help. Somebody asked one time to an elder, what's the scariest thing you've ever done in your entire life? And they said, ask for help. Because we all have this little gremlin that lives inside of us that feeds off of every negative thing you've ever done in your entire life. And it feeds off the opinions of others that shouldn't have been said. And it lives off every mistake and every failure and things like that. And it grows and it grows and it grows. And people go, I want to kill that. I want to kill that gremlin. No, you don't. You want to learn what it eats and not feed it that. That's all, because it's part of you. And it's okay. It's okay to have whatever diagnosis you have. It's okay. You know, when I first wanted to take my life, I thought that was the only way to get out of this pain circle. And it wasn't. Robin Williams said it best when he said it's a long-term solution to a very short-term problem. If you're feeling suicidal, if you feel like you're going to hurt yourself, reach out and do so as soon as possible. Reach out to friends. I want you all to take and write 5 names down in your phone, 5 names of people that are willing to listen, 5 names of people that you love and love you. And I want you to take that time to do it when your brain is healthy, because when your brain is healthy, you remember that people love you. You're lovable. You're great. You're awesome, right? You see, our brain should be doing that. Our brain should be going, rah, rah, you, rah, rah, you. Oh, I had a failure. Yeah, you didn't fail. Guess what? Now we're going to try again, but we're not going to do it that way. You're the best. Our brain should be doing that. But instead, that little grandma goes, yeah, but you remember when you farted in class and pooped your pants? You remember that one? Do you remember everybody? And it just grows, right? So when your brain is healthy, you'll remember how many people love you, and you write those 5 names down, and you start calling, and you start FaceTiming, and you text, and you do that, because that's your support group, and you have a bigger support group than you'll ever know. I'm part of your support group, and you don't even know me. These people in the people at MGEU, they care about you. That's why I'm here. That's why they've created the mental health constabulary. I don't know what it's called. But that's what it is. It's just, and they want you to be you, and it's okay. Your union cares about you. It does. It's not just a little bit of money off your check every month. It's for you. They're doing things for you. They're getting stuff that they can get for you when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to whatever package you have. They love you. They do. And you call those names, because I'll tell you what, there's going to come a time when you need to do that. And when you go to elect, and I don't know if I should say this because I'm going to say it anyway, because I get paid in advance. When you are electing people, vote for people that want universal pharmacare and timely resources for those who need to addiction and mental health help. And vote as much as you can for somebody that wants to put mental health as a class in all the schools, not an elective class, a class that you need to take. Unless that's what elective means, then that's exactly what I meant. I'm not smart, I'm passionate. So you need to understand how, and listen to the kids in this world. They are been trained so much more than adults. The most important lessons I've ever learned was from a 3-year-old child. We went to play hide and go seek because they love playing hide and go seek, them kids. I'm very good at the seeking part. I am not very good at the hiding part because I'm a pretty big lad. To the point where my nephews and nieces, when they were able to come over, which seems like 12 years ago, they were over and they said, "Oh, we should get Uncle Tazz to hide." And I said, "Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll hide. But if you can't find me within 25 minutes, you all have to do all the chores while you're here." Oh, good job. They're high-fiving each other. So I said, "You go to the backyard and you count to 100. And they went to the backyard and they counted to 100, and they couldn't find me. 20 minutes passed, 30 minutes passed, 40 minutes passed, because I had gone to the mall. My wife was there, but we had gone to the mall. I come back and I just laid down I heard them coming in. I laid down in front of the couch and put a pillow on my head. And my nephew runs in and he goes, "Have you been there the entire time?" I'm like, "As far as you know." So my young son wants to play hide and go seek. He goes to hide in the closet. He always hide in the closet. Why did he hide in the closet? Because the closet was, I would walk by, he would jump out, and he would scare me. And he would laugh, and I would pretend to be scared. The more scared I pretend, the more he would laugh. And I'd laugh, and I'd laugh, and I'd laugh, and he would laugh, and he would laugh. There is no better sound in this entire world than a baby laughing. If you get depressed, Google baby laughing. I'm going to take your meds too. But Google babies laughing. And one of the most important meds you'll take is a little tiny pill about this big. It's about the size of an ant's nut. It's called clonazepam. Oh, they're like, "Just put it under your tongue." Like, I need something bigger than, no, it'll work and it'll dissolve you. And I'm freaking out one day. I'm like, "I can't do this." Put it under my tongue, and 2 seconds later, I'm like, "Puff the magic dragon lives by." I see fields of green, red roses too. Is that a unicorn in a canoe with my shoes? I must do. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. No, yeah. I do that joke because it's funny, but I also do that because it forces myself to sing something a teacher told me that I should never ever do in public. And I do it because it makes me uncomfortable. Every day I try to do something that makes me uncomfortable, usually math. But you know what? It's important, because the more you get used to being uncomfortable, the more you're comfortable, and the more that you're. So that's why it's talk about mental health, and talk about it with your kids and your partners and everything like that. The only silver lining to COVID is the fact that we are going to be able to talk about mental health openly, because nobody in this world doesn't know what mental health is and how it affects them. Yes, I tried to do the math in my head. Well, you know what I meant. It's not always about what I said, it's about what I meant. Now, I'll tell you this and then I'll wrap up, because I've been greedy with your time, but I'm not going anywhere. My son went to play hide and go seek. What he didn't know is that while he was over at his mom's place, I had taken down the closet door that got stuck with the centuries of paint on it, and I opened the closet up more, built a frame, and put bifold mirror doors on. You know, the mirrored ones that go like that? When you open up, they go like this, right? Well, when they're half open like that, they reflect off each other. They look completely open. It looks like a big chasm. I guess when you're 3 years old, you don't know the laws of reflection and reflection and refraction. Oh my gosh. What's a refraction? 7/8. I don't know. But He must have been going 40 clicks, and he just piled into that mirror. Oh my gosh, piled into the mirror. It sounded like 1 o'clock in England in my house. He comes walking out. He's like this. He's like, "Oh, Daddy, I didn't even see me coming," which is hilarious. I didn't see me coming. So I start laughing. He starts laughing. I start laughing. And he's laughing so hard he's got tears. I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome." So I start laughing harder. Then I realized those aren't tears of laughter. And he's crying. Well, I felt like a giant arsehole because here I am laughing at my crying child. Oh, Lord, I tried to stop laughing, but I had to giggle something fierce, and there was just no way. There's no way I was going to be able to stop. And I tried, and the harder we've all had that situation, the harder that we tried, the more that I laughed, and I almost had it under control. Jill, I almost had it under control. And then he says the most 97-year-old man thing I've ever heard. "You don't know my pain." I started laughing again. I'm laughing. And then I start crying because I felt terrible. And I'm crying and I'm crying. And he comes up, and I'll never forget this as long as I live. I don't know what an epiphany is. I think it's a singer from the 80s, right? But I know what a life-changing moment was, right? When he looks at me, he goes, "Daddy, why are you crying?" I said, "Because you're crying." And I was crying because you're crying. He said, "No, Daddy." He said, "These tears down here, those old tears, those are the sad tears. But these new tears, these are laughing tears." And I'll never forget. I can feel it right now, his thumb on my face, wiping away my tear. I know this is my thumb, but I can feel his thumb still on my face as he wipes away my tear. And he goes, "Daddy, because you know what?" I said, "What?" He said, "Because nothing hurts as much if you laugh about it." I said, "Why?" He goes, "Nothing hurts as much if you laugh about it. So we got to laugh about it." And we do. We laugh as much as possible. And that's why I share my joys and my trials and my tribulations. And yes, I make fun of it. And yes, I tease the way I think, and I find silly stories and things like that, because we have the light within us. We do. We forget. We forget that we have it. I want everybody to do this right now. Everybody just close your eyes. It'd be funny if I get you to close your eyes and then I leave, right? No, but I just close your eyes for a second. You wait. And right about now, it should be glowing. It should be growing dark. Now, what I want you to do is just make yourself smile. The biggest smile. Crinkle your eyes and smile as big as you get. Big as you can. This is when I take a picture because it makes it look good. But drink, big smile. Now, open your eyes. Did you see the flashes of light that happened behind your eyes when you smiled? You see, we have the light in us. We can't always find it. So when we have the light in us, it makes life easy. And when we find we have the extra light, we share that light. And we can't find our light. That's when we rely on other people's lights. That's where we are. We are the lights for everybody else. My boys mean the world to me. Talking about mental health means the world to me. And people get upset with me. They're like, "Oh, I feel sorry for you." Don't feel sorry for you. Don't feel sorry for me. I'm okay. Understand me. That'll be great. Because I'll tell you right now, if you let me talk openly about my mental illness and don't judge me for having a mental illness, I will never use my mental illness as a crutch. And I will never use my mental illness as an excuse. Because together we're going to get through this. And tell your children they can be whatever they want to be, no matter how old. There's only been one time that I said to my son, "You might want to check yourself at the door when it comes to what you want to do for a living." And that was when my oldest boy came home and said he wanted to be an auctioneer. Now, I don't know if you remember what my son's particular affliction was, but it is attention deficit disorder. I don't know what an ADD auctioneer is going to be like, but I'm going to be there every day to watch it unfold. We're looking for 25 to go, 25 anywhere, 25 bid, 25 in, 30, 30, 35, 35, 40, 40, 40 anywhere. I'll 40, but 40. Sorry, I got you in at 35 and 40. You're bidding against yourself. It's not fair to you. It's fair to me. Hey, go. Oh, you don't know what I'm talking about? In the very back there, blue sweater like that, and blue bike. And once again, blue bike. I love my bike so much. I named my dog Blue. He wasn't a blue dog and a cold dog and a sad dog. He wasn't a blue dog at all. He was a yellow lab. Yellow and blue make green, 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 green to be a frog dog, and a hop on a bark, and a hop on a bark. Here we go. I like like pudding. Pudding. I like pudding very much. Pudding. My dad was making pudding one day. I said, you have made yellow pudding. He says, they don't make yellow pudding. There's no such thing as yellow pudding. It's not pudding. I said, I think it's pudding, but you don't want to share. He goes, go ahead and try. Scooby yuck. It's hot mustard. It wasn't pudding. It was hot mustard. I'm just telling you, I am pudding shouldn't hurt your nose. I don't know whether it is. I wish my dad was here. I wish my dad was here because he's 40. Oh, 40 bit. 40 bit in the back and away we go, right? You have the ability to be whatever you need to be. Some days you are going to be the shiningest star in the entire world. Some days your purpose is going to be right there in front of you. And other days your purpose is just to be able to wake up and then go back to sleep. Last year was hard for me, very hard. It was hard for everybody, but I can only tell how it affected me. The only thing we did one time is go camping. And I got up because my bladder didn't realize that I could sleep in. And I went to make sure that make a perimeter so that I had to go pee. I don't know why. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. So I went into the woods, and then it was a moonless night. Well, once I was done, it was moonless. But anyway, it was a moonless night, right? And I turned around, and it was so dark I couldn't see anything, and I panicked. So I don't remember how far I went into the woods. I don't know if I turned around. I don't know. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm lost. I'm lost. And I started breathing, and I started panicking, and then I looked, and we had a fire that night. And in the fire pit was a tiny little ember. So little. And I looked, and I knew that was my way home. And I walked towards the ember. However bright your light is, it's your light. You use that for you. From my family to your family, lots of love to everybody. And I know I've been greedy with the time, but we'll keep asking questions, and I'll stay on here as long as we need. Go ahead and ask questions, please. Thank you very much to the crew, the mental health crew here, and for letting me talk. Like I said, lots of love. And thank you for giving me a sense of purpose again, because this was just awesome for me as well.
I can't thank you enough, Taz. That was amazing. Yeah, thank you very, very, very much. I do have a number of questions that members have sent in, and there might be some more coming in through the chat.
Well, this would be perfect. We'll call this frequently asked questions COVID, and if you sound it out, it'll be. No, that's. I didn't ask to do that part, so if I got in trouble, whatever, really.
Not to worry. So the first question that came in is, who is your comedian hero?
Wow. It's really none of your business. No, a comedian hero. There's a number of them. Jonathan Winters was one who was. Jonathan Winters was a cat you're going to want to Google. He was very, very funny, but he's also bipolar and depression. And he talked about his spending time in the psych institute and things, the psychiatric institute, psych wards. Look at me, and things like that. Also, Dean Martin was a big. His humor was great, but Johnny Carson was somebody that I saw on TV, and Dean Martin was making Johnny Carson laugh so hard that he could hardly breathe. And I knew that when my dad was laughing, our whole house was peaceful, and that's why I wanted to be a comedian. And that's what I know, that laughter can change the world, right? They say laughter is the best medicine, right? Well, my doctor says to me, cardiology is the best medicine.
Yeah.
That's it.
Awesome.
Many of them. Whoever makes me laugh.
All right. Let me see. I got one. I know laughing is a good thing to support mental health. I am finding that the longer the pandemic goes, the harder I'm finding it to see the funny in things. How do you find the funny on those tough days?
The funny's there. It's how we react to it. If you're tired, you're not going to find anything funny. My wife doesn't find a lot of what I say funny lately, because we've been around each other so much, and we're pandemically weary, really, to be honest with you. It's important to find the funny. If you can't find the funny in everything, you need to go for a walk, get in some nature if you can, and then just meditate. I do a lot of meditation as well, and everything's going to be okay. I promise you. I will bet my sense of humor that everything's going to be okay. I can't tell you when. That's the problem. I don't know if it was in this show or the one I did this afternoon where I said if they just said 3 years, 3 years, pandemic's going to last 3 years. You're going to be miserable for 3 years, and then we would be okay. There's an end in sight. The problem is there's no end in sight, and then they say there's an end in sight, and they go, we were just kidding, right? And that's the thing. So find what makes you laugh. It doesn't have to be laughter, by the way, to create those endorphins, right? Music, right? All kinds of things. There's other things to do, and you know what? Eat what you want, right? Indulge yourself. Take time every day to do something just for you. You know, I have forgotten to do that in the last little bit because we've been so busy with schools and things like that. And that today, you know, when I was done with you folks in the afternoon, I had two more little schooly things, and then I took 10 minutes, and you know what I did? I just looked at I love comic books, so I just went through and I pulled out some comic books, and I let the memories of those comic books from my childhood flood over me. And it was just 5 minutes, but we forgot to take the reset button because there's no adventures anymore either, right? Every day is the same. Wake up, go to sleep, wake up, go to sleep. And somebody asked me the other day, how do you know you're happy? How do you know you're at peace? And I said, because I want to be awake more than I want to be asleep.
Oh, so true. Wow. Speaking of school, how have you and your children handled the home learning?
It's been a big change. My son is a big social butterfly. He's got the heart of a compassionate lion, and he is like me. People come to him with their problems. So he gets upset when he can't be there to give hugs and to give advice and things like that. It's been really hard for him. So last Saturday when they opened up, he's been gone biking every night for as much as he can just to be able to spend time with his variety of friends. Today he had his little graduation, and he came home and he burst into tears. He ran into my arms and he just said, "Daddy, I'm going to miss everybody so much." And I said, "Yeah, but the new adventure's there." He goes, "I don't care about a new adventure. I want to be able to relive the adventure I just missed."
Oh, yeah. One of the folks have asked, what's one habit that has come from the pandemic that you might continue using?
Zoom shows.
Ah,
Because you know what? The other day I was in Newfoundland in the early morning. I was in Calgary, I was in Winnipeg, and then I was back in Newfoundland for the evening, and then I was in Vancouver, I think, all within the course of 8 hours. And I couldn't do that. I couldn't reach that amount of schools, right? I can do that, and that it's not a habit, right? Because I guess not wearing pants doing a show, it's a habit now. But the one habit I do is I wake up every morning now and I open up my blinds, I make my bed, I go outside and I smile every morning, no matter how shit stuff crappy, how well shitty, like people haven't used that word to describe the world right now. And I smile, a big smile, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful for what's going to happen. I'm thankful for being able to embrace it. And the one thing that I keep saying, and the one thing, so the 28 things, but I think as I'm talking, I just realized that the one thing that I'm going to remember is how incredibly important my family was and is, and how incredibly useless all the stuff I was worried about losing was. I have everything that I need within arm's reach of my family.
wow. At what point in your life were you conscious of being able to make fun of yourself without it hurting your self-esteem? Or did the liberation of being able to make fun of yourself bolster your self-esteem?
Holy Freud.
I know.
Yeah,
Awesome question.
that's great. Oh yeah, for sure. Do you know what? I don't. I made fun of myself. I remember the first joke I made. Fatty, fatty, 2x4. You can't get through the kitchen door. And I went, well, obviously I can get through the kitchen door because I'm fat. And then they would laugh, and I would laugh, and then I would go home and cry because they were mean to me. But I think the more that I joke about having about what's happening to me, it makes it easier. Like my son said, nothing hurts as much if you laugh about it. I don't have great self-esteem unless I'm standing on stage. because I know this is why I've been put here, is to make jokes. I hate calling them jokes, right? That just makes it, but to make light of life, to be to be Mark Twainish, and you know, and to make the world see the thing. See, a jester was one of the most powerful people in the kingdom, because the jester had to say to the kings and queens what the people were thinking in such a way that he didn't literally lose his head. And I like being the jester, and it gives me confidence when I speak. And this has got nothing to do with the question you've asked, but it's just one in itself. I'm embarrassed about I'm embarrassed to be on stage because of how I look and how I feel, and because I'm still judging myself by what other people have seen me through their eyes instead of what I see through my eyes. And but I still have great confidence when I know I can get in front of a crowd and I can find something and run with it, right?
Awesome.
That's a great question. Oh my gosh. That is really
So your answer actually might just lead into the next question. Someone is wondering, how do you explain mental health to someone who doesn't? They're using the word suffer.
okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people suffer. A lot of people suffer uh, before they realize it's a mental illness, right? Because they'll suffer because they don't know. And then they'll suffer because they don't want to get help, right? Yeah. It's now there's two folds to this question. Are you asking, and I know you don't know the answer to this, but if you're asking how do you explain mental health to somebody that just doesn't get it, right? Well, guess what? Not everybody's going to get it. Just like I don't understand foreign languages, and I don't. But if I wanted to study a foreign language, I'd be able to speak a foreign language. But some people just aren't going to get it. They're always going to think it's inside your head. It's something you can do. It's just sadness. Why don't you just smile? Why don't you? Why don't you? You've got nothing to be. You've got nothing, and when you all that sort of stuff, right? Now, uh, asking um, how do you tell somebody that they have a mental illness, that you think they need to get help, that's a little bit harder, because when you don't think something's wrong, you're not going to get help. So I take them to see me. I get people to come in and I talk openly about it, and then they say, "Oh, I'm the same way, ADD or OCD or depression or whatever." And it's not just me. There's lots of other great speakers out there, and sometimes they'll understand, and sometimes they'll get help. You do what you can to be the best support system you can, but it's not all on you. You can't wear that coat. It's not yours, right? And if somebody doesn't want to understand your mental illness, then they don't get to be blessed to be in your circle. Do not waste the energy if somebody doesn't believe that you're sick, right? If somebody's in anaphylactic shock, people are going, "You're doing that for attention," right? So just don't let those people, you can let them in your lives if you want to, but just don't put them in your forever circle. That's all.
I like that. Let's see, we'll go with dealing with the pandemic has been a downer. However, even in adversity, we can find a positive lesson. What positive lesson have you learned and carried into the future? You might have already said it, but for the last bit, but this is
My ability, yeah, my ability to understand that we're not all in the same boat. We're all in the same ocean. But when you say we're all in the same boat, we're not. Some of us have yachts, and some of us have kayaks, and some of us are on a raft barely held together with twine and spit. And our job, those of us that are able to be in yachts and bigger boats, is to make sure we don't capsize those that are in the smaller boats. I know that it's important. Community and compassion is important. And what I'm struggling with, and what I was worried about, was very materialistic. And so that's the lessons that I'm for moving forward, is that there is good and there is shining brightness in everything that we do. It's just hard for us to find it. And I believe, I'm a big proponent. I always say, "Oh, the universe has a plan," and I believe that. Not always while it's happening, but afterwards, right? And the one thing I've learned is to not get my medical advice from Facebook.
Oh, nice. I like that too.
My doctor's veterinarian sister one time made a crayon, and so she knows that it's all a pandemic. Itty bad loop boop. You're entitled to your opinion, but so is everybody else. So that's what I'm saying. Every time you don't wear a mask, I don't get to work.
There. Um, I'll do the last question, and I'm looking at Jill. She's probably going to cut me off soon. I could keep going all night, but I know. Do you believe all we need is love and respect for one another, and we could all get through anything?
Yes. 100%. Somebody said, if you could change one thing in this world, what would you, if you could eliminate one thing in this world, what would you hate? You see, with no hate quantifies, it becomes love. And if we all just loved and respected each other, we would understand that, yeah, you've got a different opinion to me. You have a different way of life, but it's love and respect and compassion. And like I tell the kids every night, it's okay to get mad. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be frustrated with the situation. But you have to ABK. Always be kind. And then we sing, always be kind, always be kind. I promise myself to try to always be kind. Because it's so important to be kind. And it's easy to be kind to people that are being kind to you. But when they're not being kind, it's hard. So, because a lot of us are mirrors, we'll reflect what's happening. But my grandmother used to say, the people that are hurting and mean need more love than the others so that they can see that love unconditional is love everlasting. And she also said something else that I live my life by. Tazzy, remember that after every winter, there's always a spring. And I do believe that. I was not a good person for a long time. I was a violent, egomaniacal, misogynistic jackass who liked to get drunk and fight and carouse. And then something happened in my life, which was my boys. And it literally changed when my son said, you know, that about, nothing hurts as much if you laugh about it. I also read a quote that day that said, never worry about how your kids are going to grow, who your kids are going to grow up to be, but worry about who your kids are going to grow up to be like. So you have to set an example. So if we all could be as loving as possible, it's impossible to do it all the time. But if we all tried, maybe the days that you couldn't be compassionate, I could be compassionate. The days where I can't be compassionate, you can be compassionate. And I really, really, with all my heart, believe that love goes so much farther than hate. We're seeing that now more than ever, right? The rallying around the horrific situations that are happening in life. Yeah, love is awesome.
Wow.
And self-love is
Thank
important.
you.
Sorry, Michelle, I'm going to just say, and self-love is very important. Take the time to love yourself. Like my wife says, warts and all, Tazzy, I love you, warts and all. And if you could see yourself through the eyes that of those who love you, you would never, ever doubt how loved you are.
That's amazing. I guess that's going to bring us to our presentation to a close. It's the first time ever I think I've wanted to get off of a meeting, I have to say, Taz. And you didn't disappoint me at all. In fact, you outdid yourself. Thank you so very much for that. I'm going to phone Jerry and just say, ha ha, amazing. And,
You
from the
my love.
bottom, I will for sure. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I am so grateful to you that you started the conversation many, many years ago. And now we can actually talk about another piece of healthcare, our mental health. So thank you so much for that. I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. I hope you've enjoyed Taz half as much as I have. It's been an amazing evening. I have not laughed as hard as I have today in a very long time, and it sure felt good. When we say goodbye tonight to Big Daddy Taz, he is going to stick around to talk with anyone who might have any questions that didn't want to send their questions in. So at this time, we are going to unmute all of your mics. So those of you that, might want to be cautious about what you're going to say because
And
we're all going to hear you.
we're stopping the recording right now too, as well, so that
Yes.
people, we're stopping the recording. Yep, yep.
Yep, that's just, thank you so much. That's what I was going to say. And please keep up with what is happening in the MGEU's Healthy Minds at Work campaign. It's going to take all of us to make this just normal. So it's on the website, healthymindsattwork.ca. Please join us anytime. And
Please
if
join
anyone
us
does
anytime,
want to
and
get hold
if
of us,
anyone does want to get hold of us,
give me a shout.
give me a shout.
All right.
All right.